Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology, and thank you for supporting the Vinyl Nation. You know, by request, somebody said, why don't you do something with the Vita-Nola? Is it still working? We haven't seen much of it. Indeed, it is working. It's just performing a different function than usual. As you can see, it's holding up some Christmas decorations. So I thought we would get this guy out and listen to a record. And playing this specific record is going to be a little bit of an ongoing tradition that we're developing here, because it is a multi-part series and we've played parts 1 and 2 over like one part every year. So this will be part 3 for you guys, and I'm excited to share it with you. Here's my Charlie Brown tree, fun stuff. Yoshi the bird is just off camera to the left, so his cheeping, I apologize. He's been very vocal lately. I don't know what that's all about. He's just excited for Christmas. But yeah, the old Vita-Nola is working good. It needs a dusting and it needs some polish, but it works. I've got my beautiful picture disc under here. This is my Vogue picture disc. Also needs some cleaning, but it is in good condition and I'm thankful to have it. You can see the dust from where the record has been. I need to clean this up. This needs a spring cleaning, but it's just not time yet. What we're gonna listen to today is from this set right here. This is the Professor Earl M. Obery in Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And this is really cool. So this is a 78 RPM album, but they are 12-inch 78. So this thing is heavy. And the discs are huge. I mean, they are 12-inch shellac discs. It's been at 78 RPM. As you can see, this is it gonna focus? Copyright 1949 by Earl W. Oberg. So let's see if we can find part 3. We have scene 1, we have scene 10, scene 2, that's what we played last year, and scene 3. Okay, so I'm gonna pull the record out. These are in great condition. I got this as a birthday present a couple of years ago. And it's just been fun to have, you know, at Christmas time to bring this out and share it with everybody. So that's what we're dealing with. Beautiful record, little simple yellow label. I don't know if this was actually done by a record label or if it was a private pressing. I'm not sure. It doesn't have like, you know, anything recognizable in terms of a brand on there or anything like that. So let's go ahead and crank up the Vita-Nola. I don't know how wound the mainspring is right now because it's been a while, like I said, since I've used it. It's almost fully wound. The brake on this thing needs some love. It's just got a little leather brake in there that is worn, so it's barely stays shut. Sometimes you'll be in the other room and hear this thing spinning. It's really ghostly and creepy sounding. I think I've got a good needle on there, yep. And let's go to town. Let's spin her up, give it a listen. Fully acoustic, built in 1917, Vita-Nola in Chicago. And this is one of these companies that just built, I guess I can stop this while I talk. These guys just built the furniture, and there was like 2,000 companies competing with Victrola and Edison. So a lot of companies like this one would just they would build the furniture and then they would buy the motors and everything from other companies, sort of off the shelf. So here we go. Okay, we have to dust this thing a little bit. It's just too dusty. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and give it a listen.
Up Scrooge went, not caring a button for its being dark. Darkness is cheap, and Scrooge liked it. But before he shut his heavy door, he walked through his rooms to see that all was right. He had just enough recollection of the face to desire to do that. Quite satisfied, he closed his door and locked himself in. Thus secured against surprise, he took off his cravat, put on his slippers, dressing gown and nightcap, and sat down before the very low fire to take his gruel. As he threw his head back in the chair, his glance happened to rest upon a bell. It was with great astonishment and a strange inexplicable dread that as he looked, he saw this bell begin to swing. Soon it rang out loudly, so did every bell in the house. This was succeeded by a clanking noise deep down below, as of someone dragging a heavy chain over the casks in the wine merchant's cellar. Then he heard the noise much louder on the floors below, then coming up the stairs, then coming straight toward his door. It came on through his heavy door, and a specter passed into the room before his eyes. and upon its coming in, the dying flame leaped up as though it cried, "I know him, Marley's ghost," and fell again. The same face, the very same, Marley in his usual tights and boots. His body was transparent, so that Scrooge, observing him and looking through his waistcoat, could see the 2 buttons on his coat behind. Though he looked the phantom through and through, and saw it standing before him, though he felt the chilling influence of its death-cold eyes, and noted the very texture of the kerchief bound about its head and chin, he was still incredulous. Now, what do you want with me?" "Much." Marley's voice, no mistake about it. "Who are you?" "Ask me who I was." "Who are you then?" "In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley." Can you sit down?" "I can." "Do it then." Scrooge asked the question because he didn't know whether a ghost so transparent might find himself in a position to take a chair. But he did. "You don't believe in me?" "I don't." "What evidence would you have of my reality beyond that of your own senses?" "I don't know." "Why do you doubt your senses?" "Because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, or a fragment of an underdone potato. There's more of gravy than of grave about you, whatever you are." At this the spirit set up a frightful cry, and shook its chains with such a dismal and appalling noise that Scrooge held fast to his chair for fear of falling in a swoon. "Mercy, dreadful apparition! Why do you trouble me? Why do spirits walk the earth? And why do they come to me?" "It is required of every man that the spirit within him should walk abroad among his fellow men and travel far and wide. And if that spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death. It is doomed to wander through the world. Woe is me, and witness what it cannot share, but might have shared on earth and turned to happiness."
All right, you guys, and there is part 3 of A Christmas Carol. Just stay tuned till next year and we'll conclude. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hey, thank you so very much for supporting the Vinyl Nation, for supporting this channel. But for now, Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Talk to you soon, guys.